Once again, ladies and gentlemen, time for Spider and Olde Scooter. Good day, good evening, good morning, whenever it is you're watching. I wish I could do this live, and one of these days I'll figure out how to. I don't know why I didn't start off with my setup right, but that can be fixed, can't it? Most things can. This seems right. Something's not right. Every night I have to set this up differently a little bit. This is the Bridging the Great Divide edition of Spider and Olde Scooter. So we'll be playing Spider Solitaire, iMac version. I have no hat tonight, as you may have noticed, because I gave myself a long overdue haircut. And I just don't wear a hat the first night after that. I feel nude, of course, up here, but hey, I can stand it if you can. As always, I'm endorsing headlamps for senior citizens, of which I are one. At 80, I deserve senior citizen behind my name. And this is kind of Twitch for old people. Some of you will actually know what that means. Others who don't, it is unimportant. I coughed for like 3 minutes before we started. I thought I had all the coughing done, but alas not. But Bridging the Great Divide, I had set out. I'd seen stuff on TV, and I've been thinking about this, and I've been saying this for a long time, that America seems to be in two separate universes. One group believes one reality, and another group believes another, and I keep defining line of the division is whether you approve of President Trump or not, apparently, and it's like at 35-40% who do of the general population. And there are places that voted heavily, bigly, for the president who are still super supporters. And when you hear them expressing their positions, it does sound like it's so different from the positions of people who don't approve of Trump that it's like it's two different worlds. It's like they're seeing things differently. And I was going to do that. We have to somehow bridge that divide. Then, lo and behold, I picked up, or didn't pick up, I clicked on the Sunday edition, one of my favorites of the New York Times. Me being a libtard, of course I like the Times. And here's this article that's essentially the same thing. I think I can do this. Oh, yeah. No one cares about Russia in the world Breitbart made. And it's very hard to make that narrower so my face shows. Don't want to lose that face. But anyway, that was basically the same thing, that in areas that are Trump supporters, it is like the whole Russian thing is just noise. They don't actually believe it's significant. Whereas all those people on the other side think it's super significant, so we're seeing it differently. So I, being a problem solver, thought I would do the Bridge the Great Divide thing, and I actually wrote a response, a comment. Some of you know I do that all the time, including on Breitbart, but Times and Post and the Dallas News, whoever will take comments. Aerospace, Aviation Weekly and Aerospace News, I comment on that. I comment on Science Magazine, wherever I'm a commenter. So I wrote a comment to that, which was what I was going to do on this program. And then I found a maxim on how to bridge the difference, but that'll all come. Meanwhile, we're here to play the game. I'm resuming a game I played earlier because I beat this game. That has no effect on whether I can do it again, but at least I know it's beatable. It's all the sequence of plays you make. You get a few cards off, and what one with one deal won't win with the next. It's fun knowing it can be done, so I'm going to do it. So that's what we're going to start the game. Because there were quite a few moves at the start. That gets my spirits up. And I know you want me to have up spirits. I'm sorry I'm hoarse tonight. I don't know why some nights I'm hoarse. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. Well, I flung myself into this and ran right up against a wall and unflung myself. So let's press on to the second one. After I do this deal, I'll read you the letter I wrote to the New York Times. It was just minutes ago, so it hasn't been approved. You know, they have moderators who read all the incoming comments, and if it's, I don't know, god-awful in some way, they won't use it. But it takes time. It takes sometimes half an hour, sometimes 2 hours when I write a comment for it to actually show up. So there's always a chance it won't show up. I've had a few just disappear. I guess I offended a moderator. An ever-present danger when you're speaking your mind. Well, let's see what this does. I don't remember any of this. So, it's so rude, I just can't hold it down. That's not a very appetizing way to say it. I can't suppress the cough, is what I was trying to say. I'm getting too visceral here. Well, it seems like I remember this game going better than that. So, I don't see anything, so it's a good time to stop and read the letter. Here, this is the draft of the letter. Hello, draft? Ah, that's where it is. See, the name of the article, No One Cares About Russia and the World Breitbart Made, by Josh Green, July 5th, and there's me, pending approval. And I saith, 2 universes. Turkey is a super-polarized nation. Erdogan has somewhere near 50% of his universe. You know, the other 50% feel about Erdogan the way our 65% feel about Trump. There's a huge polarization. He has somewhere near 50% in his universe, and he is currently consolidating his power as essentially a dictator. If you're watching the news, you can see it happen. It's more and more authoritarianism, more and more suppression. Here, that other universe, which I guess would be the equivalent of the Erdogan universe, is only somewhere in the 35 to 40% range. That's the Trump approval range. But if we're not careful, that's enough. If they're very fervent and they don't care what he does and they believe in everything he does, like the supporters of Erdogan do about him, that's enough. We must find a way to reconcile Trump supporters and anti-Trump people. We've got to find some grounds for reconciliation. Just enough. We don't have to agree on everything, but we've got to reconcile just enough so we can work together to prevent a slide into autocracy. I don't think any of us, I said few in either universe, want an autocracy. So that's the sort of setup idea. And, excuse me again, I found in the maxims a sort of universal truth. Francois Duc de la Rochefoucauld, Mr. Maxim. I don't know why I can't memorize that man's name. Sweet old book is falling apart. I'm setting new records for coughing on this one, and I again apologize, but I'll read said maxim, which is kind of where we could start in reconciling. We don't have to agree on stuff. We just have to understand each other and see each other's point of view. Then we can totally disagree. But if we do that, we can probably prevent, I think, no, I won't do that, an autocracy, a plutocracy. I just almost lost the page. Aren't you having fun watching me mess around? I'm in a very mess-aroundy kind of situation tonight for some reason. So I'll take another deal. Did I take another deal? I did take another deal. I got it clean over there. I got 10s all over the place. I don't remember that. So this game is not going the way it went the first time, which probably means, boys and girls, I won't win like I did the first time. But good. It's possible. I know it's possible. It happened. Okay. Because if we do find a way to get along, I have I may have mentioned, numerous friends, peers, sort of my age-ish guys, many of whom are on that other side of the universe split. And we have arguments, sort of factual arguments, and we don't convince each other of our positions, but we get along. We're pals. We're not at one another's throats. We wouldn't support an autocracy that suppressed opinions we don't agree with under any circumstances. So we are reconciled, we who disagree mightily. And we got to find that in this country or we're in trouble. I don't want no autocracies. It cuts right into your freedom, you know, when you're living on autocracy. It's real bad, particularly if you don't agree with what the autocrat says is so. Well, now I have a 10 string. That's promising. Look at this. Oh. No, I'm missing an 8. If I had an 8, I could bring this over here and I could make a fool of myself and yell, score. We'll just press on. A lot of pressing on going on. 6, 5, a jack, a 2, 6. Oh no, still missing that 8. It did not miraculously appear between the 7 and the 9, where it belongs, nor do I see another one to go after on the whole of the board. I've been on several boards. The most interesting board I was on recently was on the radio board of one of the 2 local NPR radio stations. You who know that I'm a libtard would probably say, oh, well, of course you were. But it was very interesting. I like being on boards. That one was sort of a toothless board. It's more of a advisory board rather than a decision-making board. We couldn't, fire the general manager or give him $1 million bonus or any of that stuff. We just sort of rode herd on the programming of the station and the labor relations of the station. But very interesting. If you ever get a chance to be on the board of a public radio station, grab it. 4 of the most interesting years of your boredom. Such a clever fellow. That won't work. Now, have a hole. Very good thing, as you know. I love holes. Wild card of the game. When I get to the point I have to take the last card, I will read you the maxim from Rochefoucauld. I have a hard time remembering French names. I have a hard time remembering anything that's not English, and I'm not that great with a lot of English, but a lot of French in my life. I read again today the book Battle Studies by Ardon Dupic. How French is that? By Roger J. Spiller, old friend of mine from childhood. The George C. Marshall Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Military History and former Director of Combat Studies Institute at the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, Leavenworth. Quite an academic he is. He translated the book from the French, and he wrote this incredibly astute 60-page introductory, which reminded me of what a warlike race we are. Somehow reading history puts things in perspective for me, and I love reading stuff by Spiller. I'll do a whole show on Spiller. A whole game on Spiller someday. Talk about all the interesting stuff he's doing and done. Makes me proud, a boy from Bonham, Texas. I told you I was born in Sherman, Texas, but I was raised from 8 to 18 in Bonham, Texas. And